Hello my friends and welcome back and happy Thursday to you. One more day to go and we're gonna survive this week. Today I have very interesting videos for you. You know, there's one topic I haven't touched upon connected to Ukraine and actually Poland. Last month, 30 days, even more actually, the Ukrainian-Polish border has been blockaded by what they call Polish farmers. And they have thrown out Ukrainian grain from the trucks and trains, poured it on the ground, and it's, in my eyes, a national catastrophe because it's food and you shouldn't play with food. I mean, everybody knows that. But the thing is, people are blaming Polish farmers, the whole world, because there's a lot of internet campaigns against them. But my friends, let's check this video and let's make sure they really are Polish farmers, because there is a reason I haven't reported about them, because I don't think they are Polish farmers who are doing this. Now, a little context to you why the supposed Polish farmers are blockading Ukrainian grain on the border and blockading Western aid going into Ukraine. It's a protest movement because they don't want Ukrainian grain to bring down the grain prices in Europe, because Poland was previously the biggest agricultural supplier of Europe, and the Polish farmers would suffer money-wise if Ukrainian grain would flood the markets. Now, I think Russia has something to do with it, and I'll open up on that later. But first, let's check the video. But here, for example, we see a banner, rather anti-Ukrainian, carried by a man, who regularly appears with the Russian ambassador. The last time was less than 2 weeks ago in place of the already removed monument. And here is the same guy who is protesting on the border and protesting anti-Ukrainian movement in Poland, being part of Polish farmers. Suddenly we see the dude next to the Russian ambassador being connected and in the same circles as Russian diplomats. The monument was to a Soviet general and it was removed, and now the guy is here suddenly. These very extreme and harsh actions against Ukrainian grain trucks, grain trains. The grain has been poured on the ground and there have been nails thrown on the highways connecting Poland and Ukraine for the cars to break down and the tires to break. These actions are done by Russian agitators. As I said before, everything internal conflict, every division in the West is only good for Putin's narrative, and he's truly playing and searching all of these cards. If he finds any kind of division in Great Britain and France or Italy, he will play upon that because the division inside the country benefits him. Now he found that card in Poland and Ukraine, and that card was farmers, agricultural workers, because the Polish agricultural workers make their money by selling grain. Most of the finances come there. Now the grain prices are greatly influenced if Ukrainian grain is exported to the EU massively. Now Polish farmers are not satisfied with this and they have some minor protest actions, but what we have been seeing lately, nails being dropped on the highway, grain being dropped on the ground, this is blasphemy almost. This is done by Russian agitators on the orders of Putin and FSB, as creating an internal division between those two countries who are really close right now, and they should be. They will be the economic and military powerhouse in the future in the EU area. So these are not Polish farmers. These are FSB agitators working to create division. My friends, ever since the deletion of my Patreon page, because I called the Russians the occupiers, which apparently labels under hate speech in the United States, they removed my account. They gave me no possibility to communicate. I appealed and then they outright deleted my account. So now I'm forced to accept sponsors. So I'm very glad that I have these sponsors. They make sure I can keep doing what I do. Today's sponsor is Aura, my friends. In 2021, I had a real eye-opener about the importance of online security. Here's what happened. Someone from Siberia managed to get into my Google account. No matter how many times I changed my password or logged them out, they somehow found a way back in. It was like a digital game of cats and mouse, and honestly, I felt like I was losing. After exhausting all other options, I ended up doing a factory reset on my computer, which finally solved the issue. But this experience left me thinking there has to be a better way to protect ourselves online. That's where Aura, the sponsor of today's video, comes into the picture. Aura is a digital safety app that could have saved me from all that stress. Aura actively monitors your personal information to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands, offering a robust defense against potential hackers and data breaches. Aura's comprehensive approach includes scanning for your data on the dark web, automatically opting you out from data brokers who sell your info, and providing real-time alerts if your information is compromised. Plus, Aura also includes antivirus protection, a VPN, password management, and identity theft insurance, all into one easy-to-use platform. This means you get complete online protection without needing several different apps. My encounter with a hacker was a harsh reminder of how exposed we can be online. But with Aura, I found peace of mind, knowing that I have their always-on app working to keep my digital life secure. And I want you to have the same level of protection. For anyone who values their online privacy and security, I highly recommend giving Aura a try. You can start with a 2-week free trial by visiting aura.com/rehi. Also linked below in the description. Don't wait for a security scare like mine to take action. Check out Aura and take control of your digital safety today. This next video, I would have never guessed that I'm gonna touch this topic connected to Ukrainian war, because I know a lot of you will like it and a lot of you will be like almost clicking away because you don't care at all. But since everybody's talking about it, I cannot leave it out. UFO spotted over the skies of Ukraine, or UAP, because United States Air Force recently, 2 years ago or 1.5 years ago, started calling them UAPs and officially acknowledged the existence of UFOs or UAPs, and reported that they don't know what they are, they don't know how to fight them, they don't know if they're dangerous to humanity or United States interests, but they have seen them multiple times with their fighter jets, and they have videos and footage also. So UAPs officially confirmed by United States Air Force. Now we see one in Ukraine. What the hell? Let's see what's it about. Why can't he fire missiles at us? What do you mean? Whoa. What is this? Why is it moving? I'm telling you, it's a UFO for sure. It's staying in place on the screen. Yes, the screen is moving. It is staying in place. It looks like a plate. I never understood the fact that why UFOs look like plates. Because I thought this is like human imagination. In the 50s and 60s, they made movies about it, and then they imagined them as plates. And now suddenly we get videos of them looking like plates. So, was it true? Who imagined it first? Was it because somebody saw a plate and they made a movie about it? Or was the movie made from imagination and then suddenly, by coincidence, they actually do look like plates? What the hell is going on? Zoom in more. It's standing still, do you see? Can't see anything on the thermal. Maybe ram it. I love the Ukrainian approach. The United States is like super careful with their F-22s and F-35s filming the UFOs or UAPs, and the Ukrainians are like, bohoj, ram it. Love it. Honestly, I don't know what to make of this. I'm not claiming anything, but I would love to read your thoughts in the comments on this. And people are gonna go crazy. I know, this is gonna rile you up. My friends, now I bring you a piece of information from Rostov Oblast in Russia. Now, Russia banned, about a week ago, they banned the export of all petroleum products. So, refined petroleum, refined oil products. That means gasoline and diesel and some other refined oil products. They still export crude oil. But what does this signal is the fact that Putin wants prices internally to not change because of the elections coming up in March. He wants this stability. And also it signals to us that Russia is really having some shortages of fuel products. Otherwise they wouldn't ban the export of them, because they get a lot of money from the export and they need the money, you know. But it seems not to have effect, because in Rostov Oblast we have this report, and I'll read it to you. In the Rostov region, fuel prices for farmers have risen by 20%. At the same time, its reserves are filled to 35% of the required quantity. The required quantity being 135, one-third of the reserves only filled. That means there are actual shortages in the Rostov Oblast of refined oil products like gasoline and diesel in a country with vast crude oil reserves. You know why? Because Ukraine has methodically and periodically attacked and struck Russian oil refining capabilities, oil refining facilities, and it's very hard to restore them. It takes a lot of time. There's all this wiring and tubing and silo. It takes a lot of time, months if not years, to rebuild that stuff properly. So you take it out with a kaboom, very easy to do because all of the material is flammable. It goes up in flames, bada bing, bada boom, and the next 2 years it doesn't really work properly. And there's suddenly shortages in oil refined products in a country that has one of the biggest oil reserves in the world. Beautiful. In September and October, the price was significantly higher. Today, it is within reasonable limits, said the regional minister of agriculture, Konstantin Rachalovsky. According to him, there should be no problems with fuel supplies this year. If there were any questions, it was only from specific suppliers. Risen by 20%, 1/5. That is a huge, huge rise in fuel prices. We saw the same thing in Estonia, and people are really hurting about this. But in Russia, it shouldn't really happen because they have so much crude oil, but Ukraine don't really like those refineries. They go kaboom, kaboom, refineries on fire. Now fuel shortages just before the presidential elections. Coincidence? I think not. Now, my friends, I'll show you a very short clip from the Russian. This is the Russian Khanty and Mansi region. Both of these regions or people's groups or ethnic minorities in Russia, Khanty and Mansi, are Finno Ugric. Both languages are Finno Ugric language group, which is not connected to Slavic languages and not connected to European languages or Latin-based languages or Romantic. It's completely different. It's not Romanic. It's a completely different language group. Finno Ugric, spoken by Estonians, Finnish, Sami people up in the north of Finland, Norway and Sweden, and Mari people in Russia, Khanty and Mansi people in Russia. Most of the Finno-Ugric people actually are in Russia. They're ethnic minorities and they are occupied by Russians. They're also being cleansed by Putin. They're being Russianized. So these are one of the poorest regions in Russia, and to illustrate how poor and what's the situation really, this thing, what we see now, can only happen if neglect is not happening now, but has been happening for the last century almost. You see? House just crumbles to the ground. Now, if you fix up these foreign facades of the house, you make reconstruction, or you refortify these houses because they are old. They're probably 100 years old, this one, 1930s perhaps, seems like the style of it. This will not happen, but the thing is, Putin will not allocate any money to these regions, first of all, because they're not Slavic regions. They're Finno-Ugric. They're ethnic minorities connected more to Estonia and Finland than in Russia. So Putin doesn't care. Secondly, he wants to use these people to send as meat to the front because by this he gets more soldiers, and number two, he Russianizes Russia. He creates more Slavic people and takes away the Finno-Ugric people. He unifies the culture by ethnic cleansing. It is horrible. That is by sending men, but also not sending money to the regions, make them so poor that they have to go to war for money. So Putin, unfortunately, has really calculated all of this. It is his grand plan. My friends, in this video we see Ukrainian crews with a truck, supply truck, and there's a little bit of a construction on top of it, and in here are anti-tank mines ready to be laid down. And how do they lay them down? And I want to show you this video because it shows the extreme effectiveness and the speed of laying anti-tank mines. And usually you can just lay them on the ground, Russians drive over with the tank, you don't even have to hide the mine. But now they have this construction. Look at this stuff. It's almost agricultural. It plows up the field and the mine is fed into this thing and it slides it down into this plowed part right here, and it doesn't fully cover it, it semi-covers it with dirt, but it doesn't really matter because Russians have been known to just drive over them anyway. And if you go back a little bit, we see there's another machine doing work here, same work, And this is the middle row we see right here. And we go a little bit forward, there's another row. So 3 layers of anti-tank mines, one by one, every 10 meters. So wherever you drive with a tank, you will hit one. So it's very concentrated, very effective, very fast, and very deadly. These tank mines result in a lot of losses for Russians because they drive with BMPs and BTRs filled with an entire squad. One of these mines takes out 10 men at a time, usually no survivors. And here we can see a mine very shortly. To spot it. Boom, there is one. Not covered with dirt fully, but it doesn't have to be because the Russians, they do demine these mines with their own vehicles. That's how they do it, so don't even need to cover it. Oh, he covers it with some of the dirt, that's it. Yeah, but the sad part is that the Russians do it the same way. They both do it the same way, very fast. It's very easy to mine, very hard to demine. My friends, in the last 2 days, some Russian documents have been leaked, and but the media calls them is a Russian nuclear doctrine. Now, again, everything Russian nuclear, everything in that topic is designed to sow fear into the West. And people are afraid, and I don't understand it. We in Estonia, we here, it doesn't even have to be a nuclear warhead. Tanks are enough to destroy the entire country. I mean, if you think Russian nuclear warhead is the only thing to be afraid of, look at Avdiivka, look at Mariupol. It is almost like it has been nuked. I mean, for Estonia, it's so much easier for Russia not to nuke, because they cannot nuke Estonia, because St. Petersburg will be done. We're so close. For us, the biggest threat is the land army, the regular conventional army. So I don't get the fear for nuclear war. If it happens, you're dead anyway. What are you going to worry about? You're blessed in heaven then. You got to worry about what makes you suffer in the world, and this is the Russian tank and the terrible Russian soldier who's going to take your washing machine. So I don't understand the fear. So I'm going to read you intelligence report about this so-called nuclear doctrine. It's all bogus, it's all a lie, and the Western media eats it up because they want clicks, and unfortunately they sow fear through these articles. I'll read it to you, make up your own mind. The Financial Times published a well-prepared story on Russia's secret files, which addressed Russia's readiness to use tactical nuclear weapons in case of a threat to its security. The documents outline scenarios under which Russia would respond with tactical nuclear weapons to an external threat. The Financial Times was under the impression that Russia's threshold for using nuclear weapons is lower than what Russia has publicly presented. Honestly, it's unclear what this claim is based on. The documents originate from the years 2008 to 2014, and at least some of them describe a possible conflict with the People's Republic of China, according to the media's outlet's description. According to these documents, Russia would respond with tactical nuclear weapons if any adversary has invaded Russian territory and destroyed Russia's defense capability in that region, or if Russia has lost 20% of its submarines capable of carrying ballistic missiles, or 30% of its nuclear submarines, or more than 3 warships of 3 military airfields in one region. Now, this is probably part of a Russian military exercise scenario. This is no doctrine. They sell it as a doctrine. It doesn't, because in Russia there is no automatic nuclear doctrine. Nothing. It is decided by many people, not the president, but many people. They can account the situation right now in the world, in Russia, in the battlefield. It is not an automatic response. And also Putin alone cannot trigger nuclear weapons. There has to be many, many officers saying yes after Putin, pushing the button, so to speak, after Putin. It's a different system than in the United States, completely different system. Many people don't understand that. Putin alone doesn't have the power to trigger nuclear weapons, so he cannot make any threats on it because it's not up to him. This is how it is. People don't know this, unfortunately, and they choose to be afraid. Because fear is a choice, my friends, and if you are afraid of nuclear war, then you choose to be afraid of it, and then you give a lot to Putin, because fear is how he plays. Don't be afraid. Now, my friends, to get your mind off of this nuclear fear, I want to show you an eye candy. This is beautiful to watch. This is a Ukrainian helicopter crew Mi-17 V5 flying so close to the ground. Did you see that? Did you catch it? The front wheel is almost touching the field, and it touches it for a moment. This is the closest you can possibly fly to the ground. You cannot go any lower. It's just physically not possible. This shows you the insane skill of Ukrainian chopper pilots, but also Russian chopper pilots. They fly the same way. Why they fly like that? Because they're now under the radar, and most anti-chopper, anti-airplane radars cannot detect them, or if they can, it's very fuzzy and they cannot make out of a target out of them. Also, it's really hard to hit them from sides or front or behind because the trees actually cover the chopper. It just defends the chopper from everything, basically. That's why they do it. It's safer. Now, I touched upon one fake news, which is the Russian nuclear doctrine leaked. They were probably some battle games leaked from 2008. There is no nuclear doctrine, so to speak, like the West has in Russia. It's always react now in the moment, not as in an automatic response. I will now connect this with another fake news, totally fake news that everybody's reporting about because I don't know, they want clicks or they don't care, or I don't know what's up. Maybe it's a FSB information operation. It's about Transnistria and Moldova and how Transnistrian people are now making this referendum to join Russia. I'll read you the report to bring some truth into this story. Complete bogus. In Transnistria, so-called representatives of all levels gathered. Previously, rumors were deliberately spread that this gathering aimed for the Transnistria's union with Russia. In reality, the gathering submitted a request to Russia for protection against the increasing pressure from Moldova. Appeals were also sent to OSCE, the Red Cross, and the UN Secretary General. So they also appealed to the UN, not only to Russia. Russia staged such an event for several reasons. And why I say staged, they staged their rumors about the Transnistria wanting to join Russia. Firstly, Russia's sources in Transnistria have diminished, which is disturbing for Russia. Now, what this means diminish is that Russia had a huge lack of manpower last year on the front lines. Now they have fixed this issue with hidden mobilization. But they have moved most of their military units or paramilitary units from Transnistria onto the front lines, meaning they don't have the military capability in Transnistria to start anything, even to protect from anything. If Moldova invades Transnistria with army, that's it. Transnistria is under Moldova then, again, like it should be. Russia doesn't have any capabilities there like they used to have. And they know it, so now they have information operations to try to state the otherwise. Since Russia has achieved strategic initiative by reenacting border escalation and creating the impression of Ukraine being harassed from multiple directions and expanding the problem scope for Ukraine's supporters. What does it mean, harassed by multiple directions? Well, Transnistria is between Moldova and Ukraine. It's this very narrow path which has a very long border with Ukraine, and they are pro-Russian paramilitary area, basically, which they try to harass Moldova not to get into the EU, and same to Ukraine. They can go both ways. Or they could, if they actually would have any Russian troops in them. But now, since Russia puts 99% of their military capabilities onto Ukrainian front lines, they don't have the capacity in Transnistria to stage any kind of these false flag operations right now. Additionally, it would be ideal for Russia if the UN, OSCE, or another international organization responded to this pseudo-representative's appeal and attempted to initiate some process involving Russia. So this is like a way to gather international audiences again to watch away from Ukraine and into Moldova or Transnistria and other areas. Any attention that goes away from Ukrainian problems is a win for Putin, and they use every weapons to do that, every informational weapons. For example, this fake Transnistria referendum to join Russia. There was no referendum. There was an appeal to Russia to defend against aggressive against the potential Moldova threat. But in reality, Transnistria is a breakaway region, and the breakaway process initiated by Russia, so it should be under Moldova. So I see no issue with Moldova using its army to actually just take it back. In reality, Transnistria poses no threat to Ukraine, and by risking destabilization of this region, Russia could lose any control over the events there, because if they If they, let's put it to street slang, you want to go, bro? If they really want to go, just Moldova just use its army to liberate the area, and then Russia would lose the entire Transnistria because they don't have any capacity to fight against Moldovan army right now. Moldova can be skillfully pressured, especially considering the upcoming elections in the country, but initiating any military operations against Moldova is currently not feasible. Yes, so it's again bogus, it's fake news, it's Russian information operations, and I am astounded how the Western media and military bloggers eat it all up. They want it, they want clicks and attention, so they repeat everything the FSB feeds to them. This is Russian information operation, false information. Now, my friends, let's look at some bits of information that tell us a story that Russia wants to hide. Russia's poorest regions, these are the Tuva Republic, the Altai, and the Buryatia. These are all non-Russian ethnic minorities, non-Slavic ethnic minorities, and some of them are Finno Ugric, some of them are not. These are three different regions than Khanty and Mansi I mentioned before. But what we're going to look at is the statistics of the bank deposits of the poorest people in Russia in those regions. 2023, Altai showed an increase of 18, almost 19% of bank deposits, cash deposited in banks. Buryatia by 33% and Tuva by 57%. If a region in your country suddenly in 1 year increases bank deposits of cash by 57%, and it's a poor region, they have no cash inflow, where does it come from? Well, it shows us where the losses of the Russian army come from and how big they are. All of these are poorest Russian regions and non-ethnic Russian minorities, non-Russian ethnic minorities, meaning Putin is sending them to die first. He's Russianizing Russia by sending these men to die, and he's promising them money because in these regions there is no money because Putin took it all away. So these men say yes to feed their families, and they die, and the families get some money, and suddenly we get 57% deposit increase in this region because Putin has paid out their payments for the dead husbands. But this shows, in Tuva region, 57%, this shows huge, massive manpower and workers' losses in these regions, which takes away from the industrial output of these regions, again, diminishing their importance in Russia, again, taking away from non-Russian ethnic areas importance in the industry, taking away the manpower, taking away the cultural language and everything. This data right here paints us a very grim and deadly picture of what's happening in Russia. It's ethnic cleansing. My friends, now if you are from Finland, you ought to be proud. I always love how the Finnish don't care at all. They just give 0 Fs about the Russians. Now, I'll read you the story and you gotta love it. The chairman of the Finnish Parliament's Defense Committee announced that Finland has not set geographical restrictions on the use of the weaponry provided to Ukraine. And Ukraine has the right to use them on Russian territory. Hell yeah. This should be general understanding in supporting Ukraine militarily. It is now clear that Russia's leadership has been forced to accept that Ukrainians attack targets on Russian territory daily. And they do, especially oil refineries. Finland, a country without a huge standing army, they have a reserve army, a country without nuclear weapons, and a country with 1,000 kilometers of Russian border says that, oh, we don't care. Helvete, Satana, use our weapons in Russia. We don't care at all. If they come, let them come. We're going to destroy them all. I love the Finnish spirit. Way to go. I think other countries should follow suit. Estonia also hasn't set any geographical limitations. My friends, now at the end, I will summarize you what I did on the 7th of February in the United States and in Canada. I met very cool people. I have all of the photos of these people. I want to show them to you. In that one day, I had 8 meetings, and these were all in Ottawa. First of all, there was a senator of Canada, Ratna Midvar. In Canada, senators are chosen for life. So she has been a senator for quite a long time, and she will be quite a long time. She was extremely pro-Ukraine. We made a photo declaring similar interests and support towards one another with Artur's army flag. Then I met a Canadian opposition party representative, member of parliament, who was again very pro-Ukraine, and we did the same thing, declaration of similar interests and a photo. Then I met a coalition party member of parliament in Canada, Ottawa. Same thing, pro-Ukraine, made a photo. I'm mobilizing the army and politicians in the United States and Canada. Then we met 3 ambassadors. Yes, you heard correctly, 3 ambassadors to Ottawa, Canada. We met the Lithuanian ambassador to Canada. We met the Latvian ambassador to Canada, and we met the Estonian ambassador to Canada. We made photos with all of them. So it was an insane day. All of these people shared one certain mindset. Ukraine will win, and we will make everything to do so. So these people are now backing Artur's army, and we have declared similar interests and a joint enemy, which is Russia. So if you're watching this, you're part of Artur's army. This is our unit, and we will bring Ukraine to victory. My friends, thank you for coming back every day. I'll make you another video tomorrow, so be sure to be back. Push the subscribe and the bell button so you get the notifications. And until my next video, Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye.